Hey everybody, my name is Mike Tomorrow and I want to welcome you to the latest episode of My Life with Asperger's. This topic I'm going to be talking about is living on my own, or living on your own. You know, there is a time in our lives that we all have to live on our own. And what does that mean, living on our own? Leaving the house, or leaving home, leaving your parents, not having your parents around, you know? Living on your own can be difficult for some people, and especially those that are on the spectrum, because you move into a new place and it's not familiar, and you might not know where it is, you might not know where everything is, you might not know where the closest grocery store is, you might not know where the closest pizza shop is, you might not know where your work is and how to get there from your new home. And if you're living on campus at a school, you might not know where to go for your classes, and that can be real difficult at a time like this, because you might be out on your own for the first time, and it might be a little difficult because you have to do things that you normally would not do when you're living at home. Like, for example, you might not know how to do laundry. And of course, that's one of the tasks you have to do when you're on your own, is doing laundry. And you might not know how to operate a washer and a dryer, and some people might have to go to the laundromat, you know? And it can be a little hard to know how to use it at first. But once you know how to use a washer and dryer, you should be all set. And knowing how to do it is a good practice. Why don't you try it at home first and do some loads of laundry so you know how to do it, so that when you move out, you know how to do it, you know? Or even wash dishes, or even run a dishwasher, or run an oven, you know, cook something, you know? You have to learn how to cook, because you're not going to be able to go out every single night. Well, it depends on your budget, but you're not going to be able to go out every night. And there are some nights that you want to stay at home and cook your own meals anyways. Another task is to throw out the trash. You might have not been able to do that when you lived at home with your mom and dad. But you moved out. You're on your own. That's one of the tasks you have to do. I know some people live with a roommate, or 2 or 3 or 4. It depends on how many people there are in the living area that you're going to be sharing. And if that comes to a case, then take turns in doing chores around the house, you know? But I know it can be tough living away from home. This is my 3rd time living away from home. This is my 3rd time living on my own. The first time I lived on my own was when I did the Disney College program 7 years ago. 6, 7 years ago, whatever. 08, 09, yes. But doing that, you know, you have to have a roommate. Because when I did the Disney College program, obviously I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and then I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment. When I lived in the 2-bedroom apartment, you have to have 2 beds in each bedroom. So that's 4 people living in one apartment. That was my first apartment. Then the second apartment I had was a 1-bedroom, so that it's 2 people per bedroom, and there was 2 people living in the apartment at that time. Obviously, I don't know if you know this, but I actually had that 1-bedroom apartment by myself for like 3 months before a roommate was able to move in April. I moved into that apartment in January, and then the new roommate moved in April. So, but anyways, living on your own can be kind of hard because you miss your mom and dad, you miss your other relatives. If you happen to live close by, yes, you can always go visit them, or they can always come visit you. But if you live far away, like my parents live in Massachusetts, the rest of my relatives live in Massachusetts, and my sister lives across the border in Connecticut. And I live in Florida. So it's kind of a little hard for me to go and visit them all the time because of our distance. It's like 1,300 miles from Springfield, Massachusetts to Orlando, Florida. And that can be real tough for someone. But we manage, you know. And then I didn't say where I lived the second time on my own, but I did. My parents got me a camper, and I was living at the Florida camping in Davenport, Florida, which is in Polk County, off Route 27. And I lived in there for almost 3 years. But the problem there was, you know, I couldn't keep the place clean enough. And there was mold and bugs, and, you know, it was starting to fall apart. You know, and I had a hard time cleaning up after myself, and that's why I didn't live there longer than I wanted to. Yeah, that's why one of the reasons why I had to live up with my parents for 2.5 years in Massachusetts again. But now I moved here, and I've been living here for a month. And, you know, I try to keep the place nice and clean. I know there are mess on table, but I try to clean that up as much as I can. And it's hard for me sometimes to live on my own because I admit I'm a pack rat and I like to keep almost everything. You know, it's real hard to not decide what to throw out and what to keep. You know, it's just real hard on me. You know. And I admit that I'm eventually going to get a roommate in this apartment. And hopefully they'll be nice and clean like me, or hopefully I'll be better at cleaning, you know. But, you know, living on your own, it can be tough, like I said earlier, or it can be easy. It depends on what the situation is, where you are, you know. I know it can be hard depending on where you live and where your family lives and whatever, and your friends and whatever. Well, I'm glad I really love this living arrangement because one of my friends is actually one of my neighbors here, and I'm real proud to have them as one of my neighbors here. And we take care of each other, you know. But anyways, I do enjoy living on my own. I do admit that because I get to do whatever and whenever, and I know it can be tough, but that's the way life goes, you know. But anyways, I'm glad to have this home. I'm glad to live here, and I'll talk to you guys all later in the next video.